What is up, my friends? Welcome to Shelltop Games. I'm your turtle host, and today we'll be doing a casual review of the 2 to 4 player game Kabuto Sumo, designed by Tony Miller, published by BoardGameTables.com. Before moving forward, I just want to remind everybody that this review is for 2 players only. I have not actually played this game at higher player counts. So, what's in the box? Well, let's take a look. We got a little advertisement paper for custom tables, premium bags, lightweight bags, playmats, the works. We have a very simple instruction booklet, 1 page pretty much. I like that. We have a ton of baggies. Usually I find a use for all the baggies the game gives me, but for some odd reason I had a lot of extra in this one. Not sure why. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe because kind of just stashed all the discs into this bag. We got our sumo wrestler tokens. We have our little cardboard punch-outs that represent our sumo wrestlers. Cool little unique signature move pieces. Little slider piece. Our sumo ring, which is pretty much just a tree stump. And we have 8 different sumo wrestling bugs. Fun. What is Kabuto Sumo? It is a game where you take on the role of one of 8 sumo wrestling bugs who are basically going to be on this tree stump, and they're going to fight each other until one of them submits by running out of action pieces or falls off the stump. This is currently set up for a 2-player game. As you can see in the instruction booklet, depending on the player count, you're going to have a different setup. It's pretty much going to stay symmetrical to make it fair for both beetles. Depending on what side you're all, it's not going to matter. If you take a look real closely, you can see that there are little sumo wrestler outfits on each of these bugs, so that's a nice little touch. And basically, you're going to take this piece here and you're going to move it around the stump if it's your turn, and whenever you're kind of content with where you want to slide one of your pieces on, you can choose anyone that you want, that you have. You just kind of slide it in a straight line like so until it's 100% on the stump. You don't want to go too far, otherwise you're going to be cheating. So basically, anything that falls off the stump becomes part of your inventory, which also keeps you afloat and makes sure that you don't run out of actions. Gameplay proceeds like so. For instance, this yellow bug is kind of close to the edge, so it might want to kind of reinforce itself like so. Okay? This gameplay continues on and on and on and on until, like I said, one beetle submits or falls off the stump. It's quite simple, but to spice things up, the game also has special abilities. So you'll notice over here, we have what should be a dung ball and what I believe are mandible claws. Each of these signature pieces belong to each individual beetle and can do unique things to kind of make the game a little bit more replayable, make the game a little bit more interesting for those that want it. So if you take a look over here with Mighty Jaw Mike, you'll notice that he's got 2 interesting abilities that's personal to his specific card. The first one is paying 3 of a specific disc to an opponent, but then he gets a fun little mandible thing right here. The other one is Vice Grip, in which case he can take specific discs that are inside of his mandible jaw. So, for instance, if people do not want all that stuff and all those rules and all those extra abilities, there's also a Junior League version of the game, which is a lot more simple and kind of gets rid of the special abilities. The Junior League version, there are no abilities, and they're replaced with just a general starting inventory, so you still get the cool little mandible piece, but it doesn't actually do anything special. So what do I like about this game? It is really unique. You're not going to really find this kind of game anywhere else. It's not overly complicated, it's easy, it's simple to teach, and it's something I would actually consider this kind of a gateway game to introduce friends who aren't really into the hobby to get into this, because it's nice, it's simple, and it's fun. It's also appealing to look at. Also, it just reminds me of one of those fun little coin pushers that you see at the arcade. So I really like that too. So even if you didn't know what the gameplay mechanics were, just by looking at this, it's kind of just fun to look at, fun to push things off, and I could really do that for days. I mean, look at these discs. Who wouldn't want to push these off of the stump? It's just kind of satisfying getting to do this. The variety of beetles that you can choose from is also a nice bonus. It's nice, it's fresh that you're not playing as the same exact thing every single time. And I'm always a fan of special abilities, especially with games that are a little bit too simple because it really adds a gameplay element that you wouldn't expect to see in a game that looks like it's designed for children. The components themselves are actually pretty good quality as well. I love the three-dimensional structures. I feel like that adds a lot to the game. And like I said, it has a presence on your table that you're not really going to find with any of your other traditional games. I mean, just look at all those fun-looking, colorful pieces. There's even a strange little cactus piece over there. I think. I'm not sure what cacti have to do with beetles, but I mean, it's there if you want it. So there are also a few things that I'm not the biggest fan of with this game. So for instance, the first thing would be when you're sliding a piece, the instructions are not entirely clear of what angle you're able to do this from. So if you take a look over here, if I slide it this way, it's a little bit different from sliding it this way. The game book is not entirely clear on what you can and cannot do in that regard, which makes it a little bit confusing. Things kind of like this. Number two, I have seen games can tend to drag on a little bit longer than what the gameplay box suggests, 15 to 20 minutes, if the beetles, or the players, should I say, just play kind of defensively, where they kind of just go back and forth, without either of them kind of being too overly aggressive and taking any chances. If that happens, the game can kind of drag on for a while. Another thing is on the cards. Sometimes it's going to ask you to pay or to get a piece, and they're going to use a picture of one of the discs. The problem is, two of these discs, although they're clearly different in size, and when you're holding them, when they're on the picture, they kind of look the same because they're both a shade of brown. So the fact that they're both shades of brown make it a little bit hard to tell either of them apart. Just a small little kink, but it's otherwise a very good game. Overall, Kabuto Sumo is a very interesting, a very unique game, one that I would recommend to anybody who's looking for something different, something that's, not like the typical Euro game or the miniature dungeon crawling game. And if, I mean, especially if you just like pushing things off stumps or pushing things off anything really, this game could be for you. It's fun, it's light, it's interesting, and it's easy to teach. And so, with everything said and done, I think this game deserves it.
Hey, Bunny's here. I'm here to give you my 2 cents of Kabuto Sumo. Do I love it? Absolutely. It's so simple to play and feel like a winner.
Alright? Thank you for joining us today. If there's anything you'd like to add, comment in the section below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We'll see you next time.